All right, let me start by showing you the way that the textbook would tell you, the way that's definitely faster, but also more prone to error. So hopefully you are just so good at this that there's no chance of mistake. What we have here is a line and an inequality. Treat them as separate ideas. First, let's solve the line. What is the equation of this line? Well, all the choices are kind of in y equals mx plus b, but you can see that they've kind of flipped it, right? So it's y equals b plus mx. They put the y-intercept first. So for every single choice, the y-intercept is the same, 1. And sure enough, that is what the y-intercept is on the graph. But the slope is different. But notice the biggest choice here is just, is it positive or negative? Well, this is definitely a negative slope. It's going down, so we can get rid of choices A and C right away. Just the wrong direction. And so whenever you're thinking about slope, this is a good way to think about it. It does make life easier because you can just eliminate half the choices right away. Now the issue is the inequality symbol, right? Is it y is less than or y is greater than this line, I guess? The way I was taught to do this was to pick a point that's in the thing, in the area, and test it out. And you can do that, and we'll do that in a second for the other solution. But the better way to think about it is if we have an inequality that's graphed and the y is by itself, totally by itself, like it is here, then just think about ups and downs, right? Y is an up and down coordinate. So greater than or less than are really easy for us to think about, right? If it's greater than the line, it's going to be above the line. And if it's less than, it's going to be below it. So in this case, look, if the line is here, shading up and down. Don't shade like this, right? This is how I was taught to do it. Don't be perpendicular to the line. Don't think of it like that. Draw the lines up and down. So what's going on? Well, my line, if I'm drawing my little shaded lines, it's going up from the line. So that's y is greater than this equation. So choice D is my answer. There we go. Now, if you were unsure, because obviously there's a lot of places to mess up. Yes, you can mess up the slope. That's, a lot of people do that. They forget negative slopes. But more importantly, they have a lot of trouble with the inequalities. It's just, I don't know, our brain is not good at this. So the safe way to do it then is this is a plug points into equations question, right? We have a bunch of equations. They're technically inequalities, but it doesn't matter. And we definitely have a bunch of points. So that's what the graph is. Anytime we have a graph, we're given points. Now, I don't care about the line itself. And you can tell because it's dashed that the line itself is not really going to be part of our plugging in here. What we do care about, though, is let's pick a point that's within the shaded region and test if that would also work in the equations. So let's just pick a random easy point here. Let's do right here, 4, 0. Okay, so let me write that down. I'll put it out here, 4, 0. So 4 is my x, 0 is my y. I'm just going to plug that into all these equations. 4, 0. So 0 is less than or equal to 1 plus, well, 4 times 4 is 16. So that's true, yeah. 0 is less than 17. So that would make sense, but I wouldn't know to eliminate that quite yet, but we can keep going. 0 is less than 1 minus 4 times 4 is 16. So that's not true, right? Because that's negative 15. And 0 is not less than negative 15, so that wouldn't work. We can get rid of b. 0 is greater than 1 plus 16. Again, no, 0 is not greater than 17, so that would be gone. And then 0 is greater than 1 minus 16. So again, now we have negative 15, and this time, yes, 0 is greater than negative 15. So just like that, we'd be down to 2 answers, kind of like before we were down to 2 answers. This time it's 2 different ones, but still, we can just pick another point and test that out. So maybe I would go up here. Let's go to 6, or in this case 0, 6. Let's kind of flip it so the 0 is in a different place and just see what happens there. So now I'm going to go 0 is my x, 6 is my y. So 6 is less than 1 plus, well, 4 times 0 is 0. So that's not true, right? 6 is not less than 0. And if we do that in choice D, the only choice that's left, 6 is greater than 1 minus 0. That is true. 6 is greater than 1. So there you go. Is that more tedious? Maybe, I don't know. We have the calculator, so the arithmetic part we can also just do in the calculator. But remember, our goal is to do 2 things. It's to maximize the points that we get and minimize the points that we lose. So we're in the hard module. There might be some really hard questions here that you're just gonna have no idea how to do. So your job, if you're kind of in like the 600s here, is to just lock in as many points as possible. This is totally gettable. Even if you take a little bit more time to do it, to prevent that careless mistake, it's worth it because these are points that you can just get using the most straightforward strategy we have. Plug points into equations. So you need to recognize when that strategy is going to work, and you need to make a choice about whether you trust yourself not to make a careless mistake. Inequalities, slopes, these are places where careless mistakes happen all the time. So I recommend going slow, doing this, and guaranteeing these points so that you don't waste your time on getting this wrong and getting some harder questions wrong later. It's all about maximizing that score.